Michael, have you heard of the Roe v. Wade movie?
No.
No, you haven't? It was a Christian movie.
I think I have heard of it. And it's about
So when I asked you, you had. You indeed had.
Yeah, I don't know. So when you said it was a Christian movie, because at first I thought it was going to be just a movie like about the court case, let's say a more neutral thing. But when you reminded me, when you mentioned it being Christian, I'm like, yeah, I think I have heard of that.
Yes, well, these right-wing American evangelical Christians, they can make a good movie. But what they can't do, apparently, is pay their own actors. So multiple actors confirm that they've been contacting SAG, that's the Screen Actors Guild, for updates on their paychecks, but information has been hard to retrieve. So basically, there's this article in the Hollywood Reporter that went into, how actors who appeared in this movie, about, like you said, a very, very neutral retelling of the Roe versus Wade thing, not at all biased towards a Christian perspective, not at all anti-Semitic with cackling Jews saying, yeah, we'll kill babies for money. No, nothing like that. Very, very, very neutral movie. And yeah, basically, surprise, surprise, with everything with the right-wing evangelical Christian people, like from Donald Trump to the makings of this movie, they appear to be scamming their actors and not paying them properly. Who could have seen that coming, eh?
I mean, the American right wing, as proved by Donald Trump, is full of grifters, and obviously movie studios in general are terrible. So you're basically just doubling up on the awful.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know how you can be in that group, because the amount of times people are trying to grift you, and the amount of times you're getting grifted, even when you don't even know it. God, it must be so exhausting. But yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah, we would just like to take this moment to promote the Build the Wall Kickstarter page we've started.
Yeah, but unfortunately, because of this news, I don't think there's going to be a sequel, which is something I was very much looking forward to on Roe v. Wade. But looks like we're not going to get that. What a shame, eh?
So what you're saying is they might abort the film franchise. Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out in the near and distant past. We give them a couple of watches and evaluate them beyond first impressions. I'm your host Michael, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Luke. And this week we are celebrating the 30-year anniversary of the release of the classic Kevin Costner Men in Tights. No, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Luke, why don't you tell us a thing or two about Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves?
Sure thing, Michael. So yeah, a Robin Hood movie. There have been so many of these done throughout the years, particularly recently as well. I'll look up on Wikipedia actually Robin Hood in film, but of course we are reviewing the one from 1991 today. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, starring Kevin Costner. Like you said, Michael, it is a American action adventure film. Oh, so it's not British, even though... Okay, well, we'll get into that a bit later. Yeah. Based on the English folk tale of Robin Hood that originated in the 12th century. It was directed by Kevin Reynolds and stars Kevin Costner, Morgan Freeman, Christian Slater, Alan Rickman, Mary Elizabeth, and... Whoa. Sorry, I'm going to have to zoom in here. Mastrantonio.
Mastrantonio?
You know what? Mary Elizabeth is just the first two names of the actress, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. Because I was like, oh, Elizabeth, that's a weird second name, but okay. But the thing is, the Mastrantonio is below Mary Elizabeth.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if your name was Mastrantonio, you wouldn't really need a second name.
Yeah, you just go by that.
Like Cher.
Yeah. It's
but longer.
Hi, I'm Mastrantonio. The movie was released, Michael, on June the 14th, 1991, so we're about a month... about a month earlier than its official 30-year anniversary. But Michael, can you tell me what the budget was for Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves?
I am not sure. I mean, I'm thinking cast. I'm thinking Kevin Costner. He obviously is a famous film guy. So okay, yeah, a bit of money. Alan Rickman. I don't know if he was a famous film guy at this point. So I'm assuming
in Die Hard.
Oh, of course, yeah. Sorry, that would, yeah. So I think cast sounds like it would be a bit of money. Obviously, there's also a lot more production to this film. So I'm thinking reasonably high. But then obviously, I mean, as a fact, I don't really know how much an average film kind of cost in the 90s. I want to go for like 50 million.
Michael, congratulations. The The budget is 48 million. You're just 2 million off. When you round that up, that's a 50. That's good. That's good. You
Wow.
considered that the cast was quite, expensive, and you considered, it probably wasn't a cheap film to make with the production costs and everything.
Yeah.
And you're like, even though it's the mid-90s, I'm going to put a solid 50 million on this, and you got it. You nailed it. Well done.
Good.
You should pat yourself on the back for that one. And how about the box office? How much did this make?
Well, again, I would hope that I might not do too badly, because I actually have heard that this film was quite a big success. So now the issue is, so with that said, I know to guess, so let's say more than 100 million. I think based on a big success to me, that means maybe more than 200 million. But then I get a bit kind of hesitant, because it could be anywhere from like 200 million to like 600 million. But I'm going to go for maybe 350 million.
You know what, Michael? I thought you were going to go lower, and you're still too low.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you said like in between 200 and 400, 200 and 600, that is of course 400, you would have been very close, because it's 390 million.
Okay, yeah. Because I heard, I don't remember where I heard, but I remember hearing like this film was a big success. So yeah.
I mean, look, all of these films, you just put an average film up in the 90s with a famous actor, it's grossing 350 to 400 million. That's the sense I get.
Yeah.
It's incredible. You just look through random movies from the 1990s. And there's like, oh yeah, this gross, 350 million. People loved it. But the question is, Michael, did we love it? What did you think of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves?
I thought this film was disappointing. I don't want to say I hated it, but I just didn't like it that much.
Yeah, I'd say I also found it disappointing. I mean, look, it is what it is, man. It's a Robin Hood movie. You get Robin Hood, he's doing shit. He's killing the Sheriff of Nottingham, or he does that at the end. Spoilers. But he's beating him up and taking money from him, and he's doing Robin Hood stuff. So on that front, how can you be disappointed? But yeah, it's just a very flat movie, I'd say. Not that entertaining, unfortunately. But there are some very fun moments and some fun discussions, which we'll get into. That this movie, it isn't a case of so bad it's good, but there are some funny moments, which I'm keen to get into. But anyway, Michael, so how many nitpicks do you have?
I actually have 2 nitpicks and 1 tentative lit pick.
Okay. Oh, you got a lit pick. Wow. So I've got a nitpick, Michael. Just one.
Okay.
And so I'll go first. And this is quite literally right at the start of the movie. Like, I probably could have got more, but I was, maybe it's a case of like, I've got one, that's it, don't need any more. So right at the start, obviously Robin escapes with Morgan Freeman from this Arab jail, and he says, what does he say? He was in prison for 5 years. And it's like Morgan Freeman's asking him, like, oh, why? How did you manage to escape so quickly? And he was like, when you were in prison for 5 years, that's all you need. You only need a chance, and you're going to take it. Something along those lines. But how did he have the strength to do that if he'd just been in prison for 5 years?
That's true.
Surely, he's like, because if you're just sitting there for 5 years, why would you have the athletic ability to like, fucking knock over, the guards and like run out, and you wouldn't be able to use your legs very well, and your muscles would be absolutely as small as they could possibly be. So just have him in there for like a few months. I don't know actually. I don't know how you could do that.
No, I think the it kind of seems arbitrary how long he needs to be in prison, because obviously he was away fighting a war, so there's already excuse for him not to return back to England.
That crusade only lasted like 3 years.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So
I don't know why he'd been there for 5 years.
Maybe he showed up and he started killing people. What happened is he started killing people, and they were like, "What are you doing? The crusade hasn't started yet." And that's why he got arrested, because he was killing people prematurely. He should have just waited until the war started.
I see. Anyway, what's your nitpick and lit pick?
Well, I did say I had 2 nitpicks, although the first one, it's harkening to something else we're going to say, but it seemed like at least one person, I think several people, had like more West Country accents, which is obviously not accurate. I know we're going to talk about other accents, but I consider this, more of just a nitpick. Like, I think particularly, obviously, Little John has a West Country accent, but I think there's a few other people. And obviously, I don't know, I think in America, they think that like a West Country accent is just like an old English rural accent. But anyway, the second one is the fact that Maid Marian's residence is not able to, or let's just say the soldiers are just able to ride in there easily, even though there are walls everywhere. And basically, I don't want to get too much into medieval fortifications, but if you were a wealthy person, you would obviously have.
That is the coolest thing anyone's ever said. I don't want to get too much into medieval fortifications.
If you were a wealthy person, you would have a fortified manor house, probably. And the reason you would have that is because, as you know, Luke, in the feudal period in England, there were lots of bandits, but there were also, of course, robber knights who were lower level knights who would just use their money and wealth to go around, like, home invading people and stealing all their money. And for that reason, you would, of course, have walls around you, and then you would have a gate. But when these people show up, obviously, Guy of Gisborne and his cronies show up, Maid Marian isn't like, okay, put down the gate, let's withstand this siege. They're just right in there. It's like, why do you even have all those walls? Some mason somewhere wasted all their time building some nice high walls, because you can see walls all around, and then some idiot decided not to actually put in a gate to just keep out anyone. Because if they did have a gate, Guy of Gisborne would have had to just show up and be like, well, we probably can't besiege this castle. Anyway, and as for my lit pick, a lot of the time I will complain about fire arrows, and in this case, and usually the reason I complain about fire arrows is because it would require a lot of effort to, set an arrow on fire.
It's unrealistic.
Yeah. But in this case, at least there's a reason to have them, because obviously it's a wooden.
Of that.
Yeah.
And just jump in, Michael. I was thinking that, I saw the fire arrows. I was thinking, is Michael going to complain about the fire arrows? But I was like, no, it makes sense, doesn't it? Because everything's made of wood. So this seems like an instance where the effort would be worth it.
Yes.
And it's good to see you agree with that.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, good. And that makes this film a fantastic 10 out of 10.
Yes, definitely.
Unless there's something wrong with the plot, Luke. So why don't you tell us about the plot?
Well, I'll just give you a bit of background, by the way, on this movie before we dive in. Of course, it was a box office success, like we said, made 390 million worldwide. It was the second highest grossing film of 1991. Michael, do you want to guess the highest grossing film?
Oh, God. Was the Dracula film out then?
What? Dracula?
Bram Stoker's Dracula, starring Keanu Reeves?
No. It's not in the top 10 anyway.
Okay. Point Break.
No, not Point Break. I think, Point Break was definitely...
Have we reviewed it yet?
Sorry?
Have we reviewed it yet?
No, we haven't. Reviewed it. I'll give you a clue. It's part 2 of a franchise.
Terminator.
Yes, Terminator 2: Judgment Day. That was the highest grossing movie, and this was the second highest. So also Alan Rickman received the BAFTA Award for Best Actor in a Supporting Role for this movie, and the film's theme song, "Everything I Do It For You."
I recognise that tune, and I was thinking I actually thought they'd stolen it.
By Bryan Adams, was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Original Song and won the Grammy Award for Best Song Written in Visual Media. That's the thing. I know about Everything I Do It For You. I know that song by Bryan Adams because I remember seeing it on a quiz answer. It's like, what is the highest number consecutive weeks that song has spent?
Yeah, I've heard that too.
And it's like 17 weeks for Everything I Do and for Bryan Adams. And it's so funny, like that song came from Robin Hood.
That's so interesting. Yeah, because I remember hearing like the do 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 do, and I was like thinking it was one of those like temp music situations where like someone had put it in and then the artist had kind of just like been like, okay, yeah, let's just put that in and kind of steal it. But no, okay. I guess that would have been.
I do it for you. That's crazy. Originally, it was made for Robin Hood.
Yeah, like that's so weird because, yeah.
That's one of those little bits of trivia that is like, oh wow, that's mental. Like there's literally one of the most successful songs of all time. It was made for this fucking movie with Kevin Costner going, I will avenge you, Sheriff of Nottingham. Oh no, he doesn't say that. He says, I will kill you. I will avenge
my dad.
Marion.
Is the dad Brian Blessed?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I have like a thing where I just think every single big fat bearded English person is Brian Blessed.
Anyway, Michael, also actually, it does say here on Wikipedia, Costner's performance as Robin Hood garnered poor reviews. And it also won him the Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Actor. Oh, wow.
That's interesting.
I don't know. He seemed to do a fine job. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he didn't sound right.
Yeah.
Maybe his tone wasn't correct.
Maybe he wasn't quite emoting enough.
Yeah, that was probably a bit... You know what? You're right, Michael. Brian Blessed was Lord Loxley.
Oh, good.
He just looks so different without his beard. So yeah, but you are right. He was. So congrats. That's a nice pick. But anyway, Michael, let's get into the plot, shall we? Of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Of course, it's based on the folktale of Robin Hood, and basically, it's about. I mean, I'm looking right now at the Wikipedia page, and there is not actually a plot. It doesn't say. It just says it was directed by Kevin Reynolds and stars Kevin Costner and, Alan Rickman as the Sheriff of Nottingham. It doesn't actually say what it's about. And that's not surprising because it is an incredibly generic retelling of Robin Hood. It's Robin Hood. I know, his backstory is a bit different to normal. It's something a bit unique. But he basically, comes back to England and has to stop the Sheriff of Nottingham being, awful. And he has to, save Maid Marian, and he marries her. And he has, he meets up with his merry men, and he steals from the rich to give to the poor. All of that shit. But it's just done with a guy who sounds like he's from Los Angeles. That's the major difference. So what would you? I mean, look, there's been plenty of Robin Hood stuff. So tell me, what do you think of this movie compared to other Robin Hood movies or TV shows you've seen?
Yeah, actually, that's an interesting question. I would say there's a few interesting things about it. The big one that jumped out to me is I thought this film was a bit more, and admittedly, I haven't seen any of the modern Robin Hood films, which I think go even more extremely in this direction. This film felt a bit more action-y to me, because admittedly, the only three other, to be fair, that's probably a bit too many Robin Hood films to have seen, is the really old one from like the 1940s, the Disney one, and the Men in Tights. But of the two that I see before, they're kind of like, they're more kind of quaint and fun and cute, and it's like Robin Hood goes off on an adventure, ha ha. In this one, it's a bit more like, it's a bit more serious. The other thing, of course, actually, that's different about this film is that you don't have Prince John in it, because I don't know how familiar you are with the Robin Hood canon, but something that is quite different from this film is that the Sheriff of Nottingham is the primary antagonist, and actually in the every other Robin Hood piece of media I've seen, and also I've seen the BBC Robin Hood TV series, which was out when I was a little kid, the Sheriff of Nottingham is kind of actually more like a bumbling sidekick, a bit like Guy of Gisborne in this film, while Guy of Gisborne is actually a kind of suave romantic rival to Robin Hood, and Prince John is the evil mastermind. So in this film, they get rid of Prince John, they turn Guy of Gisborne into the bumbling idiot, and then they turn the Sheriff of Nottingham into a weird kind of pagan person who wants to become king. It's slightly different. It's obviously, it's kind of got at the same time a lot of the classic retellings, like the scene of him fighting Little John with the stick. That's like a thing that appears in every single Robin Hood thing. Different.
Yeah, I remember that from the one from 1973, the Disney animated one. And like you say, Prince John is the main bad guy.
Yeah, the lion.
I remember watching the TV series though, and it's like, it definitely was it was 2006 BBC TV series Robin Hood. Is that I don't really remember Prince John.
Oh, okay, sorry. No, yeah, you know what? Actually, yeah. See, I should, yeah. You know what? I should fess up to something. No, yeah. In the original TV series, Prince John is kind of like the Emperor, whereas the Sheriff is sort of more like Darth Vader in terms of the context of the film. Because I don't know if you continued watching the series all the way to the end, but I think Prince John kind of shows up in the final season as like as kind of like the main, he's like the boss. So it is sort of like, within the context of the actual narrative, Sheriff of Nottingham's the main antagonist, but he's actually kind of working for Prince John, who is then revealed towards the end. So actually,
I see. There's two more movies after that. There was 2010 movie version Robin Hood.
Is that by Ridley Scott?
Which did not include a Saracen character. I look it up. It stars Russell Crowe as Robin Hood, by the way. It was directed by Ridley Scott. Yes, it was.
Because I think
starring Cate Blanchett.
I find that really weird, because I don't know. It seems like one of those films that should have been directed by some kind of like trashy director.
I mean, it's still. I'm looking here. It grossed 321 million worldwide.
Well, that's not too bad.
Yeah, and it had a budget. It says the budget went up to 237, so I assume that includes marketing. So it made a profit. And then was also the 2018 Robin Hood. Remember that one?
Is that the one that stars Taron Egerton? Is that his name?
Yes, Taron Egerton. Yes.
Yeah.
It portrays the character of John, and Jamie Foxx plays a Muslim named
Yeah.
It's like Yaya.
I think it's Yaya. I don't know what it's supposed to. Yeah, but I think I've heard of people being called Yaya. That's interesting. So that's kind of stolen.
That movie from 2018 had a budget of 100 million, but only grossed 86.5 million at the box office. Yeah, so I mean, by 2018, it seems people had got sick of Robin Hood. That's the thing, like the 1991 to 2010, that's a 19-year gap. What made them think they could do another film in 8 years?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, you've got to remember though, the 2010 one was very close to the BBC television series. So, it's surprised people weren't all fatigued out from that classic.
due to its critical and financial flop, partnered with its modern take on a classic source material, numerous publications compared Robin Hood's 2018 film to 2017's King Arthur: Legend of the Sword. You remember that one, King Arthur's Legend of the Sword? That one, which is directed by Guy Ritchie.
Yeah. Well, also, actually, you know what it also makes me think about? Those kind of Hercules. Like, I feel like they've remade Hercules a few times, because I remember they did one with like Taylor Lautner, and it flopped and everyone hated it. And I feel like I feel like they've done Hercules, King Arthur, Robin Hood. I mean, I guess it's like legendary characters. People think like, let's bring those back, and it's like
because there's no copyright, is there?
Oh yeah, I mean, exactly.
Another one is Peter Pan.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, it's kind of awkward, because lots of people say like, oh, if you got rid of copyright, it would kind of create more creativity. Like people would be more original with their ideas. But it's kind of like when you look at it, it's like, oh no, actually, it seems like when there's no copyright, they when they're doing things that are just public domain, actually it's terrible. So maybe it's
just keep producing the same shit. Yeah. But anyway, this movie, though, of course, did not flop. Like we said, 390 million. And so I guess we'll actually get into the plot now of this movie, of the 1991 Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. First off, we start off with Richard the Lionheart in England, engaging in the Holy Wars. Desvold and all of that.
Yes.
Robin is locked in a prison and, being treated awfully by the bad guys.
Yes.
Who are holding him prisoner, just for invading their country and trying to kill them.
Yeah.
Those dastardly Arabs. But the good English guys, they break out of jail and outwit the stupid Turks with, Kevin Costner saying, "This is English courage."
Yeah, he's a hero.
Yeah.
This is Rudy Toot Toot and the English courage.
This is English courage, partner. We don't see how they actually got out of the city though, which is I thought they'd have a nice action scene of them like escaping on horseback from there, but we don't. So they get back to Locksley Castle. And we're back at Locksley Castle. They don't get back to it yet. And of course, Brian Blessed is Robin's dad, and the Sheriff of Nottingham is trying to usurp, the king. But Lord Locksley he isn't having it, and he's loyal to the king. And the sheriff is portrayed as evil. Particularly, did you like the KKK in style roast he was? Because that's the thing. I like when the first shot of it, I was like, "Am I watching the right movie here? What the fuck is going on here?" Because they had like torches as well.
No, it's just absolutely ridiculous, and it was. I guess it was supposed to be hearkening to that, but I don't know. Yeah, not. It's in poor taste, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was hearkening to it. They just thought, white robes, that's evil. And didn't consider. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I guess they're supposed to be weird. Like, it's so like I don't know when we're going to get into it, but like all of the kind of weird mystical cult stuff in this film.
We'll get onto it when we talk about the Sheriff of Nottingham's character.
Good. Because that's really where like the strangeness of this film just really goes up to 11.
I know. But anyway, so the sheriff, he's portrayed as, evil, obviously. But I'm thinking at the end of the day, Richard has led England into some terrible wars. He's killed so many of his people. And why not? Why not try and usurp him? That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, actually, by your logic, Luke, we wouldn't have any kings, and that would be terrible. What do you want, to get rid of the monarchy? I actually will say this. I liked how evil the sheriff was.
Well, he's very evil. So anyway, Robin gets back to his castle. And I like this bit I got from Wikipedia. The film is mocked for Robin walking from the White Cliffs to Nottingham via Hadrian's Wall in an afternoon, a distance of 560 miles. Because they're actually at Hadrian's Wall. There with the little tree, apparently. They find Guy of Gisborne. He's there trying to kill this kid, and then he goes to his castle and finds out his father is dead. His day could be going better. I think it's fair to say. Then he goes to Maid Marian or whatever, because she's an ally, or she was the brother of this guy who got killed in Jerusalem, and but Michael, she has a decoy.
Yes, and a decoy isn't hot.
Yes, but I just it's a decoy for some reason. Like, what is the reason? So she can fight Robin.
Yeah, I find it ironic. This is harkening back to my my nitpick, but the fact that she apparently cares enough about security to have a decoy, but not enough to have gates on her walls.
Yeah, it's weird. Why have a decoy in the first place? That's never brought up again or never used again.
That would have been a great Chekhov's gun. They should have done it. They set up the decoy thing, and they didn't. Oh, if they would have gone somewhere with that and paid that off, that would have been great.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things that has to happen to make things more interesting, I guess. It's like, no, Marian is actually not that woman and she's fighting Robin Hood. There you go.
Also, girl
What a
power.
surprise. I know. So then they, Azim, Morgan Freeman, obviously, and Kevin Costner as Robin Hood, they get chased and they end up in Sherwood Forest. And I'm like, it's like I said this is an incredibly generic retelling of Robin Hood. And yeah, it feels that way. We have to go through all the hits. We establish everything in the first 45 minutes or so. You got Robin, obviously, the Sheriff of Nottingham, Guy of Gisborne, Maid Marian, Sherwood Forest, and you got Little John and the Merry Men as well. And yeah, Robin manages to win the respect of John Little after getting battered and then pushing him into a river.
Actually, I have a point about Sherwood Forest being haunted. This was very confusing to me. They say that Sherwood Forest is haunted, seemingly to the extent that they don't even want to go into it. But then, throughout the rest of the film, everyone's just going into...
That's actually a good nitpick. I was going to bring that up later, but now you're reminding me about the fact that they say it's haunted, but yeah, everybody goes through it.
Yeah, like it seems to be... And it doesn't at one point say that it's the only road through Sherwood to London. So it's like, if the only road to London is through Sherwood Forest, it doesn't seem particularly haunted.
You brought it up now. I might as well bring it up now. Okay, so I looked on Google Maps, Michael, because I was interested in this. Sherwood Forest is actually north of Nottingham.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and Nottingham is actually north of London. So therefore, you would not have to go past Sherwood Forest to get from London to Nottingham. So there's a nice fact for you. You would have to go through Sherwood Forest if you wanted to get from Nottingham to York.
Yeah, and York was like England's second biggest city, so they could have just had that.
Yeah, maybe did they say London specifically, or was it York?
I'm 99% sure he said. I'm pretty sure the line he said was, "There are no other routes to London."
Well, I mean, unless you want to go past York first, then down. Like, this is the thing. It's I imagine people would have to go from Nottingham to York, but yeah, Nottingham to London is a no. That was not. Yeah, that was not necessary. So yeah, basically, like I said, Little John begrudgingly. Well, he doesn't really begrudgingly do it. He happily accepts Robin into his gang.
He also gets hit in the balls. Yeah,
but it's just like Robin got absolutely battered, and it's just that the guy can't swim. And therefore he's Robin just gets like fucking thrown around. He's clearly lost, but yeah, no, that's the fact that he poked him in the balls is enough to win Little John's respect.
I'll say as a positive, I think it's kind of nice that Robin Hood actually does get bested. It's kind of like it's something that I feel like you don't always see with these action adventure films. A lot of the time, your hero is just completely invincible.
Yeah, but he gets better, but there's no like consequences from it. It's like, I still won at the end of the day.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, at least it means like.
No, it should make sense. It should make sense. He should fucking destroy Little John, absolutely wreck him. But he doesn't. Anyway, so he goes into Nottingham, he steals the sheriff's horse, and I'm just going to call him the sheriff from now on because there's only one, isn't it? So yeah, you don't need the Nottingham thing at the end. And yeah, he retaliates by destroying this village. And so Will Scarlet comes up to Robin Hood and says, what are you doing? Look at all the misery you have caused. And I was thinking, yeah, he's right. Things were bad before, I assume, but not this bad. Like, Robin Hood has made it worse. And Robin Hood says, well, do you think the sheriff will give it all back, if you hand me in? And I'm like, yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. Well, yeah, actually, probably. I mean, that's kind of the thing. Well, two things.
I mean, 500 gold, but it's nothing to him, is it? Yeah. Considering how much money he's got. Like, he'll probably give you your villages back and give you the money.
Exactly. No, everyone knows that like the standard way that terrorist cells operate is by trying to provoke the authorities into attacking the civilians, thus increasing animosity between the civilians and the authorities. But the other thing about it is that I think, and it comes back to the fact this film, it doesn't feel, kind of, again, the best word I can think to describe it is like quaint enough. And I feel like, and I mean, I hate to say it, but the Disney version is like better because the sheriff is more fun. Like, I don't know how recently you've seen it, but he's like going around just like at the beginning, kind of like towards, not in response to Robin Hood, just because he's the, evil sheriff. Goes around and like takes everyone's money and is like, give me, and there's like a poor guy there and he's like, I'm blind. It's my favorite scene. There's a guy with like a little kind of begging tray, and the sheriff like throws some money in it, which causes all of the money to bounce out, and then he picks it all up. What an evil guy. And then Robin Hood shows up and like this family has saved up all their money to give this kid a present for his birthday, and then the sheriff shows up and takes it, and then Robin Hood shows up and he gives the kid a present instead, and it's like, oh yeah, that's Robin Hood. And I guess the issue is that in this case it's like everything the sheriff does is a reprisal for what Robin Hood has done, so it's kind of like it's not because obviously the original Robin Hood story is he takes from the rich to give to the poor because there's already an established like injustice. It's
Well,
like
that's the thing.
already.
Like things are bad before, and like I said, there's a lot of poverty that's made clear. But was that cause of the sheriff? I mean, I'm not sure. Like, there's a lot of references
they don't
to
establish
like
it.
times being tough. There's not like, the sheriff's raised taxes on us and he's taken everything. There's never any lines of dialogue like that. So I don't know. What would the people not like the sheriff of Nottingham before Robin came in?
Yeah,
like,
it
is he
feels
any
like
worse than any other sheriffs that have been in charge?
Yeah, it feels like a waste of Alan Rickman because he seems like the kind of person who you could just imagine showing up like they'd be like, please sire, we haven't got any money because our crops failed. I'm like, yes, but I don't really care. And like he seems like he'd be really good at just having that kind of evil like kingly disregard.
The overall point is like, the people had no reason not to just hand Robin in. Like, the sheriff wasn't being that bad to them that we could see. So yeah, just hand him in. Why not?
Yeah.
But anyway, Will Scarlet also makes another great point. This is the second great point that he makes, which is that he says to Robin Hood, "You're still trying to be Lord of the Manor," which is absolutely correct. Since he said he wanted to lead the people in Sherwood Forest.
Yeah, I was surprised nobody objected to that when he said it.
So, do you want to join us? And he said, "No, I want to lead you." It's like, fucking hell, mate. How arrogant do you want to be? Like, you come in there and you say, "Now I'm in charge." Like, you've been here like 5 minutes. And I think his critiques of Robin are correct, but of course Robin Hood doesn't use this as a learning moment. Instead, he's just like, "Nah, I'm right," and it's because he's the main character, so everything I say is correct. That's the thing. I think in a better movie, the critiques from Will Scarlet would land more, and he'd be like, "Yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's right. Maybe I am being too arrogant." But no, he doesn't think that. So that's the thing. I'll say at the end. Yeah, there's a very simplistic narrative in this movie. Anything Robin Hood does is good, even when Will Scarlet is correctly shaming him, and he's like, "Yeah, what do you mean you like?" That's the thing. He says the sheriff is trying to divide us. Does Robin Hood? But the sheriff didn't care about these people until you turned up, did he? He wasn't persecuting them. So yeah, I think Robin Hood is in the wrong here, Michael.
I mean, I think it's interesting because obviously it feels like it should be obvious that like there'd be a scene where Robin Hood would be like, "I'm gonna turn myself in," and then everyone else would be like, "No, Robin, don't." And like obviously in that case you'd still have the criticism that it doesn't really make sense that these people would love Robin Hood so much. But at least then Robin Hood would appear kind of noble, and that's sort of what you'd imagine when you think about Robin Hood being the kind of quintessentially selfless person who, sacrifices everything to give to the poor. You'd think he'd be the kind of person to be like, well, if the sheriff's doing all of this, then I should turn myself in. But instead he's like, nah, you don't want me to be turned in. No, you don't need your houses.
Yeah, you don't need your houses. You can just live here in the woods.
Just live in the woods with me.
Peasants. Instead of handing himself in, Robin literally builds a town in the woods.
Yeah,
it reminds me of that, that thing on Twitter where men will literally build a town made out of sticks in the woods instead of going to therapy.
Yeah. That's
like Robin Hood is like the man is a narcissist of the highest order. He needs to be stopped. He's just removed all these villages so that he doesn't get captured by the sheriff of Nottingham, and he's trying to like gaslight these innocent villagers into believing this is for their own good.
I know. Yeah.
No, you don't want to hand me in and receive 500 gold pieces and receive your villagers back. No, you don't. The sheriff is just trying to divide us. Stay here with me in the woods, and I'll train you to be my personal soldiers.
Yeah.
And a lot of you may die, but it's worth it.
That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Yeah, that is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Now, literally, like he's a total narcissist, and he's taking these people in a direction that they did not sign up for.
Yeah. I think it's kind of the issue with having it be like a personal revenge quest, because you think about it, I mean, like I say, in the usual thing is you just show how the Sheriff of Nottingham and, Prince John by extension and Guy of Gisborne, I guess by extension, are part of this gang of cronies that are exploiting the poor masses, and that's how you set it up. But in this film, they decide to set up them attacking Robin Hood's dad over what's kind of quite a personal feud.
Yeah.
And then Robin Hood has this vendetta, so it's like he's not really...
Why should the peasants care about his fucking dad?
Yeah, especially since, he's obviously a noble.
Who's king of England?
Yeah, like Robin Hood, I guess, is supposed to be, I don't know where he'd fall on the feudal ladder, but he's, at least landed gentry. Oh, yes, noble.
Yeah, so, exactly. Like, why should they care? Or you've got the sheriff killed your dad. Well, why should some fucking random peasants care?
Yeah,
like,
the sheriff killed my home, thanks to you.
Yeah, the sheriff should... what should happen is, the sheriff should be like pillaging all these peasants. Then Robin Hood is like, "Nah, fam, I'm not having that," and he takes some money and gives it to them. And it's like, okay, then the sheriff has a bounty on his head, and like the villagers are like, "Nah, you don't hand yourself in. You actually fight for us. He's been treating us like shit, and you've stood up." And then he has the idea to build this town in the forest. But just again took these people in a direction they did not want to, they didn't want to sign up for. But it works, of course, because somehow people, like we said before, just keep going through Sherwood Forest. I mean, just go around it. Like it's not worth it, clearly. And Robin did when he got to his castle for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because the thing is, of course, there's no Sherwood Forest in between south of England and Nottingham. But yeah, he did it, and of course, he steals a lot of money. The poor love him, and I do wonder, like, what is the ratio to how much the sheriff is harming them? Because he's clearly being quite punitive to the public, to how much Robin is giving them back. Are they doing better? How much better off are they?
Yeah, that's true.
I do wonder. Yeah, but anyway, so I do have those questions, and I think that's reasonable. But then, of course, Robin, he takes all of this gold, and because it was going to bribe people trying to usurp King Richard.
Yeah.
And so the sheriff is pissed. So of course he kills Guy of Gisborne.
Yes, I mean, I will say, actually, I liked just before we get into the Guy of Gisborne, I did like that narrative of like them doing the heist, because I think really, if I were to write a Robin Hood film, what I'd probably have it be is like kind of the central focal point to be that Robin Hood's got to do this heist, which is basically, I think this is what they do in both the old 1940s version and the Disney version. It's like the opening of the film, like the opening act is,
would the movie be called Robin Hood's 13?
Because like he's got lots of merry men. Oh, I get it. Sorry, I get you. Sorry, Oceans. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I do think like Robin Hood can be a bit of a like a medieval heist film. But yeah, basically in most of the films, it's like the first third is the Sheriff of Nottingham's. He's taxing everybody, he's stealing all their money. They're getting poorer and poorer. And then kind of like the second is like second act's like Robin starts kind of helping out a bit, and then eventually he does the big heist. And that's when the sheriff's like, oh, I really hate that Robin. And then that's when you get the final confrontation.
You should rewrite a Robin Hood movie. You should do it. I mean, look, it's been 3 years since the last one.
I think people are ready
to go. Yeah, exactly.
But that's the thing. Like, no, but the point being, I did like when they did the heist, because I think they kind of do the heist on the carriage, and it's like, I mean, it's not Oceans, it's not like super well planned out, but it's obviously they do the weird thing of like people.
That's great.
Coming out of like the little flaps. They've got like little flaps made out of leaves.
Okay.
But yeah, I liked it. I just thought it should have been more central, to be honest.
Okay. Great. Well, you know what, Michael, you can do that.
Now you can talk about Guy of Gisborne getting stabbed.
No, I was going to move on, but yeah, it is funny. Like, I sent you that picture of him, like when he's like half lying down.
Yeah.
Like, because I just paused it at that point. Yeah. He's just like, like I said, he's chilling, like he's like watching TV. So yeah, it's about this point in the movie where I'm getting quite frustrated with the Sheriff of Nottingham, because he brings in an alliance with the Celts. These animals apparently, but a good point is made in the movie. If you can't control Nottingham, how can you control England? Yeah. And there's a very good point. You're not going to win the war against the fucking King of England if you can't beat fucking Robin Hood. But I was thinking throughout this movie, it's like, there's like this line where someone says to the sheriff, this has been going on for like 4 months or 5 months or something. Well, why the fuck haven't you? And this is always the thing with Robin Hood. Why haven't you just sent in your soldiers in there to burn the forest down? Why don't you just send? Who the fuck cares about this forest? I mean, there's no environmental concerns back in the day. Greta Thunberg isn't going to get on your back when you do it. Just go in there, burn the fucking forest, burn them out, and so they have to move. And I don't like you've clearly got the ability to do that. And eventually, of course, they do kind of do that. They send the soldiers in, and they also employ my burning tactics.
This is, I don't know why, this is making me think a lot about Israel Palestine.
Why?
Why are you just going there and destroy everything, and then they'll have to move?
I mean, of course, there's a very different context to the two situations.
It's just the way, I don't know why, like the way, but no, yeah, like the way, I mean, like if you just destroy everything, then they have to go, and then you don't have to deal with them anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, that's why Israel are doing that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it is a good strategy.
I mean, I don't know how no
to be fair, will we
that.
get in the future like a Hamas version of Robin Hood?
Oh yeah. I don't know. Hollywood will never produce something like that.
I mean, to be fair, especially seeing as you'd have to have the Jewish people being obsessed with getting their gold. And then that would be getting their riches.
Yeah. Okay.
They stole our riches.
Yeah, no, but maybe because I mentioned the anti-Semitism in the Roe versus Wade movie, maybe we could get those people involved in that. But they're very happy with the Jews being in Israel because it signals the end times and everything. Yeah, exactly, so maybe that'll be.
The only babies Jews are allowed to kill are Palestinian babies.
Exactly. exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. Those Roe v. Wade people, they hate, well, they don't hate Jews, I don't know, but they're clearly anti-Semitic. But they also probably are Islamophobic to a very significant degree.
Yeah, exactly.
As well.
Well, yeah. But anyway, regarding the Sheriff of Nottingham's plans, again, it is weird, and it's another example of why it is a bit strange that Prince John isn't in this, because obviously Prince John is a prince. It makes sense, and obviously we know
he just doesn't exist.
Yeah, we know that Prince John actually did go on to take the throne after King Richard died, and then became King John. So like that actually happened. So it's a bit weird to take kind of the continue with the motivation of trying to usurp the throne, but give that motivation to the sheriff, because obviously, the sheriff has no legitimate claim.
I was just very happy, by the way, that that they used my burning tactics.
I was
thinking that. I was like, yes, that's what you should have done 5 months ago.
I found it strange. Am I really stupid? Is it me, or did it kind of just gloss over how they found out where Robin Hood was?
No, because apparently there was this line, like the blind guy, Norman.
Oh.
He got on a horse and he led them to Robin Hood. I don't know how they knew it. Like maybe they spotted the blind guy. I was like, aha, yeah, he's probably because he got on, I believe, the sheriff's horse. I think that was right. So it was a white horse. The sheriff's horse was a white horse. It was like, that's the sheriff's horse. So Robin Hood stole that. So that must mean that's one of Robin Hood's men, and he's going to lead us back to Robin Hood if we just follow him.
Yeah, because I found it interesting because obviously, like the main thing is finding Robin Hood. That's like the main thing that the sheriff has to do. He has to find Robin Hood.
Just send the fucking soldiers into Sherwood.
And the other thing is like it. Like, does he really need to bring in these Celts? Because surely, like, if he finds Robin Hood, like Robin Hood uses guerrilla tactics. It's not as if he's going to be able to actually. And that's why it's kind of a good
point. That's a good point. The Celts actually don't do anything that the English soldiers could not have done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point actually.
No, you're wrong, Luke. What they can do is hold a flaming log to their hands.
Yeah, that comes in really handy, doesn't it? Anyway, so Marion, of course, then gets kidnapped. She's a damsel in distress. That's her that's her segment in the movie coming up. And is Robin Hood dead? No, he's not. He appears in the light like Jesus Christ, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's so weird because it's just like they like the fact that they just assumed like, oh, he's dead, and like they didn't go down into there to like capture him or anything like that. Like I found that really weird because it's like they destroy the place and then Robin Hood collapses like into a thing and then they're just like, oh, he's probably dead, and I'm like, well, yeah, it's a bit weird how they handle it. Because it's kind of like, I guess, if you're going to have kind of a fake out death, then you should at least try to sell the death.
He's dead for like 2 minutes.
Exactly,
and then he's back. We get a nice twist, by the way, I will say, with Will Scarlet being the half of Robin Hood.
Okay.
I was like, you know what? That makes sense a bit. That does.
They set it up, don't they?
Yeah, they set it up, and it's like, they kind of look like each other as well. With the blonde hair. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's good. Well done. That works.
Okay, yeah, I know, yeah. I will say this. I liked it on a... I did like the way they set it up, but at the same time, I did feel like there was just part of my brain being like, it feels just a little bit kind of melodramatic, just a little bit like, you are my brother, and I don't know. It feels it kind of makes me think of like an anime betrayal.
You're right to be pissed about it.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah.
You're right to. Anyway, so of course, we enter the last act of the movie now, and the sheriff has all the money. Robin Hood is dead, or so he thinks, and he is going to be king. And he literally says all that. This is the status of the movie. I'm winning. Haha. Nothing can go wrong for me. Oh no, shit. We've still got 30 minutes of the movie left. Shit. Oh no. And of course, yes, we get this final action scene for the good guys to be victors. And of course, the sheriff is getting married and he's hanging people as you do on your wedding day. Beautiful celebration. And Robin Hood and the gang come in to save the day. And I just, again, the lack of security at the hanging / wedding is just shocking.
Yeah, and also you get another legitimate use of fire arrows because obviously they sneak gunpowder in there.
Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah, Azim's got his gunpowder.
Yeah.
How those Middle Easterns like their explosions.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Like that's kind of the weird thing about the High Middle Ages in Europe is it's like you can only have gunpowder if you have somebody from the Orient. For some reason, because that's the thing. They just had the gunpowder back then.
They knew how to use it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they know how to use it. So of course Robin then he goes to save Maid Marian, and I think he's going to save the day. It's the end of the movie, and then something kind of crazy happens, Michael. The sheriff is trying to rape Maid Marian.
Okay, yes.
This is like a kids movie.
I know.
This is a movie. I'm going to look up its rating actually.
Yeah.
Go on.
Well, there is, of course, someone else says, Will Scarlet says fuck. He says, fuck me, he did it. Or,
Oh yeah, but that can be edited out easily.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Because we
But yeah,
watched
no,
the
yeah.
extended version, and unless
Oh, did we?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we did because
Kevin Costner needs to stop with his extended versions of things.
well, it was only like 12 minutes longer than the original. But basically, yeah, I don't know if the raping bit was in the extended version and not in the theatrical cut.
Yeah, it seems like it would be hard to cut around.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It was like it's the last bit of the movie. It's the main ending. So
Yeah.
how is that not in the actual movie? And that's what he literally tries to do. He literally tries to rape her.
Yeah, like that's the thing. I was genuinely when I was watching it, I was like, I can't believe that we're having some rape. Because you know how I said, I feel like I was kind of setting this up when I was saying how the other Robin Hood films kind of felt sort of quaint and a bit silly. Like, oh, that silly sheriff. Oh, he got bested by Robin Hood again. In this version, he's a rapist.
Yeah. But that's the thing, like, he obviously wants to do it so he can have a kid.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, you say that you don't need to actually have him, like knock her legs open, and have the camera shot of that. I mean, it can be cut. I'm looking at the classification. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves was submitted for classification, blah, blah, blah. And it got a PG rating, but it required 14 seconds to be cut from the film to obtain that PG rating.
Oh.
So I wonder if that was some of the 14 seconds.
It's, I mean, to be fair, like, I guess it's almost like, at the same time, maybe a kid, like, if a kid's young enough, they probably won't even, like, be able to think about, the implications.
It's just literally trying to... This is the thing, I remember this movie was on, like, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And, it's still probably on now. Well, maybe not as much now, because, of course, 2 more Robin Hood movies have come since then.
Yeah.
It's like, kind of like ITV or Channel 4.
Yeah.
Like at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Oh, look, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves is on. That's what you could watch on, like, on a Saturday weekend kind of thing. And then there's the Sheriff of Nottingham trying to rape Maid Marian at the end of the movie.
It's really hard to just say anything other than, like, blimey. It's very... it's weird. We all like high stakes, but I think when you've got people about to be hanged, that's okay. I don't think you need to add sexual assault to the...
I mean, I looked on Wikipedia and it does not actually say that happens in the movie, but obviously we can... I don't know. We'll have to watch the theatrical cut, but if we want to find out if that was actually in there, but I think it might have been, because again it's hard to cut around, but again those 14 seconds.
Well, Luke, I've looked it up and I found a line from this AV Club article which says, I think the title's fun for context, 23 years after its release, Robin Hood Prince of Thieves is barely watchable, but the specific line is, other aspects of the rape scene are, understandably, just disgusting. In particular, Mortiana's claim that Marion is ripe and will bear a son after touching her stomach.
When she says she's ripe, touches her stomach.
Yes, it's, what a weird... Anyway, after touching her stomach is hideously crass and downright icky, on top of being, along with the actual rape, for crying out loud, utterly and completely inappropriate for the movie's PG-13 viewers. So that implies that the attempted rape scene is in the film's theatrical cut.
Yeah, that is the implication then, because if this is PG-13, so then these 14 seconds would not have to, or the 14 seconds did not involve the scene, and it could still stay as a PG-13 movie. Yeah, I mean that is quite crazy. I'm remembering when Mortiana says, "she's ripe." It's great. You love to see it.
It's a bizarre thing. Also, it's kind of weird it happens alongside a priest beating up another priest. Like, that's kind of like a comedic scene. A priest beating up another priest and pushing him out a window.
It is.
And then on the other hand...
I've written down the line. Friar Tuck, he kills the bishop and says, here is 30 pieces of silver to pay the devil on your way to hell.
Subtle.
And he fucking tosses him out this window.
I know, yeah. It's mental.
Yeah, and that's hilarious. But anyway, let's move past the rape scene, Michael, if we can. I just this Liverpool Robin Hood's movie. Oh, Alan Rickman doing this evil pantomime villain shit. Oh yeah, and he tries to rape Maid Marian at the end. Just incredible stuff. So anyway, Robin Hood wins his duel with the sheriff, of course. And then we get another hilarious bit of action when the witch comes out of nowhere, but Azim tosses the sword at her. Did you enjoy that, Michael? She's running crazy, and Azim tosses the sword.
Yeah, and like when they have like the just uncomfortable like zoom in on her face, and it's just like, I don't know, she looks bizarre. Hot. Sexy. That's how she looks. Yeah, getting impaled.
So anyway, the end of the movie is funny, bizarre, predictable, just a whole range of shit happening.
More like a whole rape of shit happening.
That's good. And then we get another great scene at the end when Sean Connery comes in as King Richard to Marion and Robin's wedding. I don't know how he managed to time that so perfectly, but he did. And we all celebrate King Richard, who's a good guy and still has his throne. After going off on all those stupid crusades and killing thousands of people along the way, he just returns home to a hero's welcome, as it were. And of course, he's Sean Connery as well.
He's also Scottish, even
he's
though...
also Scottish.
I mean, it's kind of funny because the big thing everyone says about Richard III is that he actually spent more time in France than he did in England, and he probably... I think they say Richard the First. I was thinking third because he went on the Third Crusade. Richard the First didn't even speak English. I think I remember hearing that. He only spoke French, which obviously would make sense because they were literally French nobility. And it's kind of they've gone in the opposite direction by being well, he's not English, but he's not French either. He's Scottish.
He's Scottish, yeah. We'd love to see it. And that's the end of the movie. And overall, I think, it's a quite simplistic narrative. Robin Hood is the best, and he's always right. The sheriff is the epitome of evil. That's why I compare it to it's like a kids' movie kind of.
Yeah.
And, that the whole plot is predictable as well. And the fact that it's a kids' movie and there's a rape scene in the end is, it's kind of weird. And that's the thing. You pick out these movies from, again, this one is 30 years old, and it's just there's something completely inappropriate. These movies which, I don't know, are liked, beloved, and you go back and watch them seriously, and it's that scene is a bit weird.
Yes.
And it's it's the whole... I guess you know what? We watched I Am Sam last week, and that's what I feel like the whole movie, I Am Sam. It's it's 20 years ago, but if that movie was released today, it'll receive a lot of press for how wild it is and all the shit that went down in that movie. Whereas this one, it's again, it's you got a couple of weird scenes in there, and the rape scene is definitely one of them. And it's just this is a lovely, nice, tale of Robin Hood, and it's in there. But that's the thing. It's it's lovely. Why I say it'd be good for kids is because it is, the narrative is simplistic and it's not that exciting. Robin Hood's character isn't explored. He's literally like Jesus Christ in this movie. He can do no wrong. And the political power elements, which are kind of there, should have been used more. And you could make it more interesting instead of just doing a by the numbers hero movie, which is what the plot essentially is. And interestingly also that the bits about the political plotting actually wasn't included in the original theatrical release.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, by watching the extended version we got a bit of that. So I'm looking here. The extended cut shows in detail the conspirators' plot to steal the throne from King Richard, as well as exploring the relationship between the sheriff and Mauritania, which we'll get onto later, that bit. But so the movie was only that bit better for me, all the plotting and stuff. Even though it wasn't actually in the original movie. So the original movie is even worse, or the original cut. So that's interesting. But now, Michael, we are going to get onto the characters and the actors and the performances and all that stuff. So first up, Michael, we have Kevin Costner as Robin Hood. Now, we mentioned this at the start of the review. Kevin Costner.
Yes.
He is American.
Yes.
He is playing an English character. He doesn't seem to be aware of that.
No.
And that's the thing. From literally the first line that he says, that is clear, because he's whispering a bit before. But, the first actual line he says clearly is, "This is English courage." And it's so ironic, of course, that that's the line. And it's, ironic that he's saying courage when he's too scared to fucking try an accent.
Yeah.
But that is an incredible start to the movie. And it's just so bad. Another line I liked is "I will not rest until my father is avenged." He said,
there was a good line when he gave the speech. I can't remember what it was. It's something about being "We're a free man." He said kind of when man.
Do you want to be a free man?
Yeah.
So they have armor. We don't have any food. The forest provides everything we need, fellow Englishman. We are not outlaws. We are free men.
Yes.
That's the thing. It's so... I don't... of course, this is infamous. This is notorious. So I was expecting it going again. But it is so bad. Literally every single line. He just says it in his normal voice.
Yeah.
I don't get how you can do that. Who... Well, I'll get into why this happened. But wow. I just... It's astounding how bad it is, Michael. And it is rightly infamous. And it is rightly mocked. And has been for the last 30 years. And I hope that continues. Because it is shocking. It is just a shocking decision just to have him speak like an American.
Yeah. I mean,
medieval England.
Braveheart's better. At least in Braveheart, you can be you can suspend your disbelief. Because at least it's it kind of sounds like Scottish. It's not a terrible. Well, I don't know. I'm not Scottish. To me, it sounds kind of Scottish. I don't think anyone could come
It's a
out
lot
of this.
better.
Yeah, no one could
It's a
come
lot
out of
better.
this being like, oh yeah, I thought it sounded kind of English. So yeah, basically,
Yeah.
because he doesn't even
I mean,
try.
no, because he doesn't even try. That's the thing.
So it's not really a bad accent, I guess, which is the positive
No,
thing.
no, that's the thing. I think people who say it's a bad accent, I don't know if I had, but I've also said before, and I'll say again, he just doesn't do an accent. He's not trying. He's just doing his normal American voice. And I've got interesting quotes from Kevin Reynolds,
Ah,
who himself is American, by the way, just to who it may give an inkling as to why Kevin Costner sounded like he did. Reynolds said, "What I did not want to do was Indiana Jones. That had been done already." I guess he's talking about the actual plot. But anyway, Costner wanted to do an accent, but Reynolds thought it would distract audiences, and their indecision resulted in a drastically uneven delivery between each scene. So that's interesting. He didn't want Kevin Costner to do an English accent because he thought it'd distract audiences. Did he not consider that having an American do an American accent in the middle of medieval England when all the other characters are speaking with an English accent, apart from Morgan Freeman, obviously? I mean, that wouldn't distract viewers.
yeah.
My God, that is one of the most baffling decisions ever. And the reasoning is, people know Kevin Costner. He's got an American accent, and the audiences would be baffled, absolutely befuddled, if he started speaking with a different accent. They would be like, "Is that really Kevin Costner? What is going on? What is real life anymore?"
They were just like, it looks like Kevin Costner, but it doesn't sound like him.
Yeah,
Really just horrified.
The American people, American movie people do not think much of the American public. And maybe they're correct to some extent, but I think they can handle, the accents being different to how the actor's accent has sounded in previous movies. But anyway, so basically, even before the movie was finished, Kevin Costner was the subject of embarrassing rumours that his performance was too laid back and his accent more Los Angeles than UK. And those rumours were...
Yeah,
Those rumours were correct. Yeah, they weren't really rumours, they were just statements of fact. Yes.
There were also rumours that his first name was Kevin.
Yeah, that's a good one. But anyway, so Costner's explosive career gave him only a few days between the long-term epic projects of Dances with Wolves, Robin Hood, and JFK. So these happened all around the same time. The project's timeframe was compressed by the winter of England and by competition with other possible Robin Hood films, giving Reynolds only 10 weeks for pre-production and little time for planning. So this may have all contributed to him just because maybe it was a case of, well, his accent wasn't good, his English accent wasn't good, so let's just have him do his American accent, and let's not have him try to pull off an English accent, even though, I mean, I don't think it could have sounded, because you're literally not trying, he's just American, at least try to do an English one.
Yeah, I almost wonder, maybe I'm crazy, but I almost think, maybe Lord of the Rings kind of set the standard for actually doing accents, properly, because there were a lot of American actors in Lord of the Rings, and they all sound English, because that's how, fantasy people are supposed to sound, and I almost wonder if, that was the point, because I feel like there were a lot of films from the 90s. There was also a film called Dragonheart, where it was the hero just was like, "Hello there, I'm a humble blacksmith, and it's nice to meet you." And I feel like maybe...
things have certainly got a lot better in that regard, I will say. Kevin Costner, by the way, also said, "It's very dangerous to be working so fast. We are relying on the weather, and every time the weather turns against us, we could get behind. When that happens, there is always the feeling that certain people want to do something about it to shorten the filming time. That's not always the cure." Oh, well, it looks like they they had problems with the English weather. Michael, they had problems with the English weather.
Yeah.
Reynolds. So this is not really about the accent, just this is the overall problems. Reynolds said, "Are things going as planned? You always start with a picture in your mind, and this is a compromise all the way from there. We've been struggling from day one. We are trying to finish by Christmas, and the days are getting shorter. It's horrible. The suddenly changing weather caused jet traffic to be diverted overhead on the first day of filming." At the Burnham Beaches location, 10 miles from London's Heathrow Airport. So I just thought I'd tell you that story because I find that funny. They can't film this medieval scene because there's fucking planes flying overhead. Again, don't film in England, especially not the winter of England when the sunlight ends at 3:30.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that's the thing. It's not. I think that's what Americans like. Because obviously in America, I mean, I know not in California, but in a lot of America, it gets colder during the winter. But obviously because they're further south, their daylight time is not as extreme, and I think a lot of Americans just don't understand how in Europe it genuinely is it gets dark, like you say, around 3 in the winter.
If they're trying to finish just before Christmas, so that's in December. The shortest day of the year is 23rd of December. Literally, there's the worst time. You're literally getting 6 hours of sun, and then that's
Yeah.
it. It's like it's night for the rest of the day. But anyway, so yeah, Reynolds also, by the way, was furious at the studio's repeated requirement for yet another heavy editing session to boost Costner's presence and prevent Rickman's acting from stealing the movie. So they were concerned about Rickman stealing the movie, and the studio locked his own editor out of the cutting room.
Oh yeah, I've heard about like studios doing that before.
Yes, and Reynolds walked out of the project weeks before the theatrical debut because of that, and did not attend the screening. So yeah, Kevin Reynolds, from the awful British weather to not telling Kevin Costner to do an English accent to having the movie edited in the wrong way, doesn't sound like he had a good time, does it, on this particular movie?
No, yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess it is one of those. It is kind of interesting because obviously this film didn't feel like a complete jumbled mess. I mean, I remember the other example of a director being just locked out of the editing room, like physically, was Fantastic Four, the 2015 one, which obviously was completely jumbled. This one, I'd say the film feels coherent, which I guess is impressive considering the technical issues they did have. But yeah, not good.
Yeah, not good. So let's get on to the Sheriff of Nottingham character after we pan also another thing about Robin Hood, obviously Kevin Costner's accent is awful, but they didn't play up how good he was with a bow and arrow. I mean, they have some nice shots of him, but I don't know, I'd expect that to be more prominent considering that was his skill that he was amazing
Do they even have a classic shooting an arrow in half with another arrow?
No, they don't. Because that's a shame. Big shame. Anyway, so the Sheriff of Nottingham, played by Alan Rickman, he can play an evil guy for sure. And, you know, he always has his chest out in this movie. And yeah, basically, I think of his performance, it's obviously a lot better than Kevin Costner's, but he is like a pantomime villain. And I'm sorry, there is an emphasis on the pantomime. Like, I don't think he's good. I think he's like a performance in a kid's movie. Again, it's like this really evil guy, and he's getting a lot of praise for it and everything. And I'm like, it's just, I don't think it's that good. I'm sorry.
Well, the thing is, my favorite line is he literally says he's going to cool off Christmas, which is like such a, like, I mean, in a way I kind of loved it because it is like, it's so, like, that is such a cheesy thing, like the Sheriff of Nottingham is going to cool off Christmas. But I mean, yeah, so my attitude kind of is, I think tonally it's a bit weird. Like there's a lot with the Sheriff of Nottingham. There is a lot because with the Sheriff of Nottingham, it is obviously very kind of cliche in terms of his lines and his acting, which I think, you know, it could work. But then you have like the overall tone of the film, I think, does feel like it's supposed to be a little bit more serious. And then obviously, you know, you have other aspects of the sheriff, like considering he's got like this political intrigue thing, you know.
Okay, well, let's talk about the political satanic stuff because at the end of the day, he isn't a God-fearing Christian, so you know he's evil. They have these satanic symbols in that cult KKK meeting, and it's like, I don't know, it just feels very, very weird. Like, the Sheriff of Nottingham is just meant to be some evil guy who's, like, robbing the poor. Now he's a Satanist, and he's, like, involved in these cults.
Yeah.
And it's, like, a whole new direction they've taken it. And, you know, he has a witch as well.
Yeah.
You know,
also, I think it's implied he does, like, blood sacrifices, because there's, like, an altar, and it's, like, a dead, well, I think it's an animal, so...
Yeah. And he has these conversations with the witch, which I thought were a bit weird, and I was like, they put this in the movie, but actually, looking on Wikipedia, this is the other section which was put into the extended version. So Moritana explains that she killed the true George Nottingham as a baby and replaced him with her own infant son, revealing that she is in fact the real sheriff's real mother. Now that wasn't in the theatrical cut, and so yeah, that would be interesting. Why does she want a baby so much at the end then? That wouldn't really make that much sense, I guess. But anyway, so yes, that was basically... So yeah, a lot of those scenes, which I would like... These are really weird kind of scenes when you get like a close-up of Alan Rickman's face and he's talking to the witch and it's like, this is... I don't know about this. This is quite weird. But that wasn't in the theatrical cut, which makes sense. But yeah, kind of a very weird depiction of the Sheriff of Nottingham, that he's involved with witches and like satanic cults and all of that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's really hard to kind of evaluate beyond just saying it's bizarre. And obviously I do think in a way it is kind of, it doesn't work with the fact of him just being like a goofy over the top villain, which, you know, obviously is how he comes across at other points, because obviously if you're talking about like dark magic, I mean, I know like being a Satanist and kind of from a modern, more secular, less superstitious perspective, being a Satanist is kind of a goofy thing.
It's hilarious, really.
Yeah, no, yeah. But
so I don't know, I didn't find it like tonally weird, I just thought it's a weird direction to take this character, who how he's been portrayed as he's just like this guy who loves to hit poor people and take.
I guess it's weird because I mean there is a religious theme to like, so obviously you have Friar Tuck, who's like obviously the ministering person, then you have obviously
There's a lot of talk
Morgan
about
Freeman.
religion.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman talking about like how it's the God of Abraham. They all worship the God of Abraham, and then you've got the sheriff of Nottingham like, oh Satan, come down and destroy your enemies.
Yeah, I get it's very weird. Also, well, that's the Alan Rickman character. Yeah, obviously he's a lot. So yeah, I'll just say on that, Alan Rickman, good performance for some, not for me really. A bit too. And that's the thing, the pantomime evilness. I guess you could say it's fun, but to me it just makes the movie worse.
Well, I don't think you can say it's good acting. I think you can say the best you could say is that it like works for being kind of just funny and goofy and like oh look, isn't it fun?
And then he tries to rape Maid Marian at the end.
Yes, and then you say, okay.
Oh, this goofy, evil character who wants to cancel Christmas. Yes, let me rape this woman. But anyway.
Wait until you see the non-theatrical cut of Jim Carrey's The Grinch.
Oh, God. Anyway, so Guy of Gisborne up next. He's a fun character, isn't he? Just throwing guards to the floor. I sent you that bit. I find this guy he just killed. He gets killed halfway through the movie. Yeah. Oh, poor Guy of Gisborne.
It's really interesting because obviously, I mean, the big thing is in the classic Robin Hood story, Guy of Gisborne is like a romantic rival to Robin Hood, and it's like basically implied like I would say, to use my Star Wars analogy, it's like Prince John is Darth Sidious, the sheriff is like Darth Vader, and Guy of Gisborne is like Darth Maul. That's kind of how it is. Like he's kind of the cool guy who's like he's like the heavy infantry. Yeah, he's kind of like the person who
Darth
does
Maul
the
was
actual...
a very romantic rival for Anakin for
exactly.
Padme. Yeah, you make a good point.
You know what? Yeah, I mean to be fair, I don't know. No, the romantic rival thing, but I guess just mean like in the other films, he's kind of competent. I mean, obviously in the BBC version, he's played by the sexy Richard Armitage.
Yeah, so this is a difference here.
But definitely.
This is one of my favorite characters. I find him really funny. Like he just can't catch a break and Guy of Gisborne. Oh god. Anyway, so that's him, and of course I sent you that photo of him lying down.
Yes.
We've got Morgan Freeman next as Azim, and again he's kind of lucky that Kevin Costner's in this movie because he can't really do a Middle Eastern accent either. He gets away with it. He's definitely trying not to sound like himself or American. Yeah, he has this line where he goes, "You're strange Christian." Like that, it just doesn't sound natural as well. This forest has eyes, I swear it. It almost sounds Indian, like the mix of the American accent.
Because it's kind of got the American twang to it, which is obviously a bit kind of Indian. No, yeah, I mean, I can say my compliment about this, which is because I mentioned this and you were wondering what I was going on about, but I do think actually it's a nice example of representation that works, because one of the things, obviously, I think that you have to be aware of in films, and you don't have to be some kind of crazy right-wing person to be aware of it. Get to the point, Michael. Is that obviously you want representation in films, but obviously if you're talking about historical epics, you don't really want that representation to just completely fail to suspend your disbelief. Like I remember in the BBC Robin Hood film, Friar Tuck shows up and he's randomly just black, and it's like that's fine, but there's not really an explanation for why he's there when obviously medieval England.
But there is a reason for Morgan Freeman to be in this movie, because he was taken from Jerusalem.
Yes, exactly. And I thought, done. He came from Jerusalem. It's nice, because it means that I, as a super woke progressive liberal, get to say, good, some representation in my Robin Hood movies, exactly what I need. But I also don't have to think like, well, why would he be there? Because it makes complete sense. And they even have like the blood debts. That's why he has to show up. So. Yeah, I like that. His character though is kind of like,
he played a magical Negro in Driving Miss Daisy.
Now he's kind of a magical Moor, which is even better. Because it's like alliterative.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, also, I mean, you have the lines of him being like, you white people, you're so silly with your little customs. It's a very kind of a 90s thing to me, like to have basically a scene where it's like, it's the, non-white, non-male person, in whatever the scenario it is, judging the white people. I think about in Pocahontas where it's like the Native Americans are calling the white people savages. Isn't it? And,
I feel like a thematic reason, though.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know, Michael. I don't think this holds up.
I do. Maybe I have to come up with some more examples for my video essay on 90s racial relations.
Okay, let's move on to Maid Marian. But of course, by the end of the movie, she becomes a damsel in distress, Michael. A damsel in distress, yes.
That's not woke.
no, I know, right? 90s sexism. I can't believe it. But yeah, so she's at the end watching these two men fight over her. But what I was really confused by is she showed some great fighting skills earlier. Like when she was battling Robin, she was going toe to toe with him for a while. So why all of a sudden is she standing in the corner? Like, don't put that scene in if you can't have it both ways. You can't be like, oh yeah, what is oh, you didn't expect that, a woman doing that. Oh, look at Maid Marian, how she's different in this movie. She's not just a pushover, but at the end she's literally a damsel in distress. So the Sheriff of Nottingham and Robin Hood can battle it out for her at the end of the movie.
Yeah. Also, when you think about it, maybe I'm being really super smart here, but she could have fought the witch because the witch is a woman, and then it would be that would be kind of equal.
Yeah, that's a nice trope in action movies where you got the two main characters fighting and two side characters fighting, and those two side characters have a connection for some reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or in Harry Potter when what's her name, Mrs. Weasley, headbutts
kills Kate
Bellatrix Lestrange.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. It works. Anyway, Michael, so let's talk now. Those are the characters again. So yeah, pretty. Some are disappointing, some are quite fun, and some are just meh. I think Marion definitely falls in that last category. Or you could say she's disappointing as well. Whatever you like. Let's get on to the Crusade thing right now, Michael, because of course King Richard is waging war in the Crusades. So the Muslims don't get Jerusalem, which is of course something that thankfully has stopped.
now it's all. Yeah, I mean, what a pointless thing.
Thankfully, the Western powers don't send military supplies into to stop Muslims living in Jerusalem. Thankfully, we moved past that now. It never happened like it did 900, 800 years ago.
Oh yeah, I actually no. I had a nitpick relating to one of the first. Well, I say nitpick. It was something I was considering putting as a nitpick, but I thought, you know what? If we're going to talk about the Crusades, I'll put it here. Which is that the Crusades actually had an incredibly low European casualty rate. There's a line where, right at the beginning in kind of the opening crawl, I guess, it says, Richard I led the people on the Great Crusade. Most of the men who followed him would not return. And actually, that's not true. The Crusades had really low casualties from the European side because, of course, it was feudalism, and most of the people who went on the Crusades were actually independently wealthy knights who were kitted out in proper full-on armor. And there are stories of knights in the Crusades who literally just had hundreds of arrows sticking out from them, but they were just fine because they had armor, and they were just ramming into these relatively light armored Muslim infantry and just smashing them to pieces. So there we go. There's your fact. The Europeans really had very low casualty rates in the Crusades. But actually, I wanted to check this. So I was looking at some of the battles in the Third Crusade, which was the one Richard I fought in, and the final battle of the Crusades, which was the Battle of Jaffa, it had, on the Muslim side, it had casualties 700 plus 1,500 cavalry, and then on the English side, it had casualties at least 2. So that puts into perspective how kind of disparate basically the knights had. Well, they were heavy mounted armored knights. Yeah,
no, that makes sense actually. Yeah. What's crazy about the Crusades is there were 6 of them over the course of 120 years. And yeah, I don't know, it feels like there's this unsaid implication that King Richard is heroic for stopping the Turks taking over Jerusalem. And, I think given what's happened in the past week in actual Jerusalem, between Israel and Palestine and all of that stuff, it's quite interesting. It's very newsworthy, Michael. I feel like I just picked this Robin Hood movie at this time because hey, why not? It was a gap to slot it in and it worked. But again, it's turned out to be relatively newsworthy considering the events happening in actual Jerusalem today.
Yeah, I think particularly I think with Richard I, it's awkward because obviously he's called the Lionheart, and he was actually a very good general, in case you can't tell by the example of the casualties from one of his final battles. The thing is, he actually didn't lose a single battle in the Crusades, and obviously by and large the Crusades failed. That's why, I was going to say that's why there aren't any Crusader states there today. One could maybe argue that point. But yeah, obviously the problem is you've got to separate the viewing of somebody as a hero because of their skill and prowess versus the actual morality of what they did. And to be fair, I do think you look at, for example, Genghis Khan, lots of people would say Genghis Khan was kind of a Mongolian hero, even though he was also a completely murderous, horrible human being. And I guess it would be nice if the Crusades weren't politically fraught, so we could kind of just say Richard I, incredibly good commander, in the technical sense, a good ruler. But yeah, the Crusades were not a good thing. Unfortunately, even to this day, the Crusades, which happened, as you said, 900 years ago, still something which people like to say, well, was it a good idea to, massacre huge numbers of people just for being of a different religion? Yeah, Crusades, not great.
massacre a huge number of people for being a different religion in that particular area as well, over Jerusalem, over control.
Yeah, no,
of
yeah,
Jerusalem.
exactly. I mean, yeah, because I mean, well, the worst one was the siege of Jerusalem, which, yeah. Oh, and also, actually, this is a good thing. Richard the First, when in his first battle, he actually killed 3,000 Muslim prisoners of war who had surrendered. And I feel like that's the thing. If you ever wanted to kind of have your Robin
King
Hood
Richard
story,
has a right
yeah.
to exist. King Richard has a right to defend himself.
He has a right to national determination.
But anyway, Michael, it's time for conclusions. So you go first on Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yeah, this film, I think one of the most striking things about it is, as we've already said, there are other Robin Hood films, and I feel like most of them are probably, like, I would kind of think maybe the Ridley Scott one is even slightly better based on the fact it did reasonably well, and, you know, I'm sure Ridley Scott's okay. And with that said, like, does anyone ever need to watch this film? And the answer is no. Like, if you want a kind of classic, fun action adventure romp, you can watch the old, like, one from the 40s. It still basically holds up because it's just a story about a guy running around in tights shooting arrows. If you want something really kid friendly, you got the Disney one. If you want something more kind of action packed, yeah, you can watch the Ridley Scott one. This one is kind of feels unnecessary unless you want to watch a story about a goofy villain who worships Satan, threatens to ban Christmas, and then tries to rape somebody. I don't know what. Ironically, I guess, you mentioned how there isn't much of a sign of Robin Hood being a particularly good archer and marksman in this film, and I feel like it's not really clear what target this film was trying to hit. So with that said, I think it's not good. I'm actually going to say it's worse than Braveheart, and I've decided also I'm going to stop saying like exactly where I'm rating things. I'm just going to say high 4, low 4, or middle 4. Oh well, high whatever the number.
So
and in this case, yeah, I gave Braveheart a low 5, and I think this is worse. So I'm going to give it a middling. No, actually, I'm going to give it a low 4.
We were meant to save time by this. Yeah, I'm also going to give this a 4 out of 10. Because at the end of the day, it's not the worst thing ever, but like it's not good. It's really not good. And yes, it feels the plot is very simplistic. The narrative is simplistic. Like I don't know, there isn't anything particularly to shout out about this movie. Like, oh yeah, you should watch this movie. It's got some really good stuff in it. No, it just feels like an incredibly generic Robin Hood movie. Nothing stands out in a good way, but quite a few things stand out in a bad way. You have, of course, the accents with Kevin Costner. That's the famous one. And yeah, it feels generally just like such a American, like Hollywood type movie. Hollywood back in the day, and maybe it still to an extent does, has a reputation of recreating historical things inaccurately. I mean, you mentioned Braveheart, that's another example of that. Gladiator as well, and this movie Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Just inaccurate portrayals from Hollywood, and yeah, it does make me think like things have probably come. Things are probably a lot better than they were, especially 30 years ago. Like, you'd never, ever have an actor just doing an American accent like Kevin Costner is in this movie. If a Robin Hood movie was set today, like, he'd definitely do an English accent. Yeah, I mean, back in the day, like, mistakes like this, or just infamous howlers, were probably more common. I remember when I talked about Cats, and I said, Cats was unique because of how bad it was, and you don't see stuff like that nowadays. Like, just these performers being in this god-awful movie doing this stupid shit. But yeah, like back in the day, again, just with a movie that grossed $300 million, that was very successful. You could get Kevin Costner doing this accent. Oh yeah, and you could have random rape scenes thrown in there as well. 4 out of 10 for me, Michael. Again, nothing stands out. There's no reason to go and watch this. So yeah, a bit of a disappointment overall for Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. What are we? But there's some individual good moments which are funny, I guess, in some way. But anyway, Michael, what are we doing next week?
Next week, we are doing, from a film which has a Disney animated version to a film which is a Disney animated version, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And let me tell you, if you like accuracy to source material, you're not going to want to miss this one.
The Hunchback.
I believe we're doing that because of Cruella?
Yes, Cruella, yes. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. As it is. So yes, thank you for listening. We've been selecting and reflecting on Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, starring Kevin Costner, or should I say Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Join us next week for The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
I've been Luke. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.